Hello everyone. Today we are gonna go over how to make a vegetable dish. It's called bitter squash, and this is what it looks like. I'll give you a little bit of a picture of what it looks like. It is often used in a lot of Indian dishes. So it has this texture to it. It's sometimes called bitter melon, and sometimes it's called bitter squash. So this is the dish we'll be making. So we have these chopped up and we tossed them in the oven just to kind of roast them up and give them a little bit of a texture. This is a healthier alternative to frying the dish, which is also something a lot of people do. So this is what it looks like. Kind of want to give you guys a good idea. So we'll let that kind of cook and brown and get really crispy. And now we're going to add some mustard oil into a pan. This is probably maybe like a couple of tablespoons. You can just get a rough idea. And then we're going to add in some onions. Not finely chopped, you can just have large onions just like this. Really chop them up real quick and add them to the dish. So we're going to wait until the onions get nice and crispy, just to kind of saute them a little bit. So while we wait on the onions to saute, we're just going to let this sit for maybe 15 minutes, so until they get really nice and crispy. Until the onions are ready, we're going to move over and maybe start chopping some of the tomatoes and then other ingredients that are going to go into the dish. So this dish has a lot of benefits. Bitter squash is really good for your health, and if you were to Google some of the benefits of what this vegetable has, it has shown it can reduce blood pressure, it can help just lower cholesterol. So it has a really good benefit to your health. So taking it even once a week, cooking it and making a dish out of it is really good for you. So let me show you guys what it kind of looks like to give you a nice reminder. So this is what the dish looks like. Not the dish, sorry. And we used mustard oil. Gonna wait for this to saute. Okay. So you should hear that crackling sound, and that's how you know that it's cooking and that onion really well. And while that cooks, we're going to start chopping up some of the tomatoes that are going to go into the dish. So usually we add about anywhere from it looks like we're going to add 2 tomatoes into the dish. If they don't have to be finely cut, it can just be large pieces. That will work too. There we go. And now we're just going to wait on these onions. Alright guys, let's see if we can look up some benefits for using bitter squash while we wait for the onions to get nice and crispy. So I'm going to come right over here. Alright, so let's see. Okay, that might not work. You can probably see my sweat. That's disgusting. I don't know if I can actually pull it up. That's frustrating. So, we typically grow our own bitter squash in the backyard. It grows very easy. Just like the name applies, it is very bitter in taste, and that is probably the reason that it's so good for you, and then it helps with things like blood pressure and cholesterol is because of that bitterness that it has. It's hard to eat on its own if you don't cook it right. When you have caramelized onions paired with the actual bitterness of the squash, it really creates a really nice combination, and then the taste is just, it's a little, it has that bitterness, it attains that, but the caramelized onions adds a really nice flavor to it. So as we wait for the onions, some other vegetables that are very similar are things like ladyfingers. Those are also really good for your health. And like just, you know, any type of vegetable in your garden. I think it's very helpful to have, you know, your own garden and something fresh to grow in your garden, and making it yourself is a huge thing. So we usually have our own tomatoes and all different types of vegetables. All right, let's see how it's looking now. It is really hot today. So this will take a little bit of time to caramelize. The tomatoes are ready to go, so those are set aside. Some other ingredients that are going to go into this dish are just like some of the seasonings. We're probably going to add in a pepper or two. That is my brother. Please disregard. All right, so I don't know exactly what type of peppers these are, but they are very spicy if you were to bite into them. We typically grow our own, and this is a this is the type that grows really long, so it looks like this. And you just finely chop this up and you add it in. All right, guys, because we are live, I'm gonna have to take a little bit of a break because it is gonna take a little bit of time to caramelize before we add in the other ingredients. So, sorry, that's my dog. We will be back here shortly for the second portion of putting the whole dish together. So stay tuned for that.